we're going to talk about solitude and the importance of being comfortable by just being alone, being on your own, and being comfortable in silence, and more importantly, in silence, when you're in solitude, when you're just by yourself. That's when you hear the voice, the inner voice in you that knows what's up and knows exactly what needs to be done. And what I'm talking about here is like something that's been talked about by all prophets, all people who have contributed greatly to humanity over history. They would spend a great deal of time in solitude. Doesn't matter if they had families, doesn't matter if they had, friends, doesn't matter any of that shit. They would make sure that they spent a decent amount of time in solitude. Because what happens when you spend time in solitude? First of all, that's when you really get to know yourself, who you are, the real you, the authentic self, your destiny, your purpose, and all of that. You're not gonna know that if you're constantly going on Instagram and constantly going on Facebook and constantly listening to what your parents are telling you what to do and what your friends think is the right way to go on about things. And of course, everybody wants to give you opinions on what needs to be done based on their own experiences, which they're totally subjective. And you get lost in this midst of information, in this midst of do this, no, do that, that's the proper way to do it, right? You get lost. And somewhere along that, your soul just kind of gets buried underneath a pile of conditions after conditions and programming after programming and rules after rules that are completely, most of the time, absurd and insane, right? Your soul gets buried, but in silence, you get to listen to that inner voice more and more. You get to connect with yourself, your higher self, and you get to connect with higher entities. You get to connect with the source. You get to connect with, I don't know how to describe it. They've described it, they say the force, they say the universe. There's so many names for it, but it's there. The source, the awareness, the energy that goes and penetrates through everything, from trees to animals to humans and all other planes of existence and dimensions and this crazy reality we live in, right? But there's like a force there, and if you observe nature, you'll see that everything has a purpose in nature. The tree has a purpose, the leaves have a purpose, the roots of the tree, the fungi, the mushrooms that grow, the worms. And us humans, same thing, we have a purpose, and each one of us has an individual purpose. And the purpose of life is to figure out that individual purpose for you. Alright? I really recommend you guys read Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. Amazing book. Talks about how, in the end of it, you need to look for your purpose. And no matter how much you have of worldly things, no matter how much sex you have, no matter how much money you have, no matter how much material positions you have, you're gonna feel like there's a void, and what's gonna fill that void is that sense of purpose, that sense of mission, that sense of destiny. But how the fuck are you gonna know what that is if you don't spend time in solitude, if you don't spend time contemplating, if you don't spend time reflecting, if you don't spend time trying to say, who am I? And after you do that long enough, the conclusion that you will come up with, if you do this long enough, and if you're a really curious person, is inevitably we're spiritual beings having a human experience. Okay, meaning we're souls, we're not really humans. Alright, because it's temporary. You're gonna die, I'm gonna die. It's such a short existence, and there's something after. And if you have to experience it for yourself. This is not something I can tell you about. This is not something I can, no matter how much I go on about it, you have to experience it for yourself. This sense of there's something after. And this sense of, okay, I'm way more than my physical body, right? So what is this rant about? I guess what I'm trying to tell you is, listen to the inner voice, spend more time in solitude, and don't look at it as a bad thing. There's a stigma that, he's alone, he's a loner, there must be something wrong with him. No, on the contrary, most geniuses across history and time and any you name it, Einstein, Elon Musk, modern day, right? You name it, any genius in history, Beethoven, Mozart, they would spend a great deal in solitude, a great deal of time in solitude, so that they can provide the world with their gift that they came here to provide. And once you have your purpose, and once you know who you are, and you know the authentic self in you, the path is paved, like it's beautiful from there, all right? And the world will come to you. You see, as long as you're on a mission, a man on a mission, going after your purpose. So spend more time in solitude, do a lot of reflecting, a lot of contemplating on your own existence, on who you really are, what you want to do in life. And once you find what you want to do in life, go after it as if your life depends on it, because it does. Your life depends on finding your mission, finding that thing that tingles your balls, that tingles your ovaries. Check out SaidMobile.com for inspiration and empowerment. Also, check out my book, 5 Powerful Habits to Dominate in All Areas of Life. It's for free. Look it in the description. It will help you guys tremendously with this stuff. What else? That's it. I love you guys. Love every single one of you. But don't forget to subscribe, or you're gonna sleep with the fishes.